The sound of my life falling apart wasn't a bang, wasn't even a whimper. It was the hollow, metallic thud-thud-thud of a hammer against solid oak, echoing down my hallway at exactly 6 a.m. on a Saturday. A sound so wrong it pulled me out of that blurry state where you're not sure if you're still dreaming or just desperately in need of caffeine. My bladder had already woken me up because age and biology don't respect weekends, but my mind was lagging behind, still negotiating the terms of consciousness. I stumbled out of the bedroom, scratching my stomach, boxer shorts with tacos all over them. Dignity, a low priority. I shuffled to the front door, peered through the peephole. Nothing, just the warped view of my porch and the same hedge as the Whispering Creek HOA demanded be trimmed to precisely 36 inches, no exceptions. I unlocked the deadbolt, swung open the door. Streets empty. Early morning fog hugging the ground. A single bird with a chirp sharp enough to be personal. Then I looked down. There, literally nailed to my mahogany doorframe at eye level, was a thick envelope. Old, rusty nail, ugly as sin, the kind that'll never let you forget it was there. Splintered the trim, tore it off, ripped open the envelope. The paper inside felt like something lawyers use to send you bad news with a flourish. Expensive, heavy, meant to make you sweat. Notice of foreclosure and lien enforcement. I stared, rubbed my eyes. Property, 402 Maple Drive. Owner, Jack Miller. Outstanding balance, $12,414.32. Immediate foreclosure proceedings initiated. Vacate within 30 days. My knees went weak. I looked down at my ridiculous boxers, tacos everywhere, like I'd lost a bet with life. $12,000? I didn't owe anyone $12,000. I paid my mortgage on the first, paid my taxes, paid my car note. But I scanned the itemized charges. Base infraction, $50. Late fees, $800. Admin, $1,500. Legal counsel, $5,000. Interest, $3,200. Damages to community aesthetic, $1,850. I felt my blood go hot, then loud. This wasn't a mistake. This was a hit. I looked across the street. Curtains twitch. Brenda's house. Brenda, HOA president, the lady who once measured my grass with a ruler while I ate a sandwich on my porch. I crumpled the notice in my fist. They were trying to take my home, my 3-bedroom sanctuary, where I worked, slept, played video games, made a life. And all of it over a $50 bin infraction. I slammed the door, stomped into the kitchen for coffee. Needed fuel. Needed to remember how the hell this all started. Like most wars, it started stupid. 2 months back, life was easy. I'm a software engineer. 90% of my existence is code, and the other 10% is regretting not going outside more. When I bought into Whispering Creek, the realtor told me, HOA keeps property values high, keeps the riffraff out. Turns out riffraff is anyone with a pulse. The incident was on a Tuesday, trash day. Rulebook thick enough to stop a bullet. Bins out no earlier than 6 p.m. Monday. Must be hidden by 8 a.m. Tuesday. That morning, I had a call with Tokyo that ran long, 45 minutes arguing about the color of a button. By the time I got outside, it was 8:14 a.m. The recycling truck was just rounding the corner. I bolted, waved them down, dumped my cardboard, dragged my bin back, left it by the garage. Just for a second, I really had to pee. 15 minutes later, I remembered, walked out to grab the bin, and there it was. Neon orange sticker slapped on top. Violation. Improper receptacle placement. Time observed. 8:19 a.m. Fine. $50. I peeled it off, left glue residue everywhere, looked around. Nobody. Like a beige ninja had struck. I figured it was a warning. 19 minutes late. Who fines for that? Wrong. 3 days later, the letter arrived. $50. I actually laughed, talking to my toaster. $50 for a recycling bin. Went outside. Ran into Mr. Henderson, 2 doors down, legend, old structural engineer, spends his retirement scrubbing his '85 Ford F-150. Hates the HOA like it's personal. I waved the letter. What did they get you for, kid? Recycling bin, 19 minutes late. He spat on the driveway. Brenda's on a warpath. I said I'd just pay and move on. Henderson shook his head. Not about the $50. She's squeezing everyone. Needs cash for her playground scheme. Empty reserve fund, new solar lights. Now she's hitting everyone with fines. It wasn't personal, it was revenue. Brenda needed a win, and she was going to get it one mailbox at a time. I shrugged, fine, I'll pay. Henderson just muttered, don't poke the bear. I walked across the street, check in hand, figured I'd do this face to face. Brenda's house looked like a mausoleum. Garden gnomes lined up like a tiny army. Rang the bell, Beethoven's Fifth. Brenda opens up, helmet of gray curls, floral blouse, disapproval etched deep. Can I help you, Mr. Miller? Always Mr. Miller. I tried to hand her the check. She recoiled, told me all fines must be paid by cashier's check, by certified mail, no personal checks, no hand deliveries, protocol, protocol, protocol. I laughed, nervous. She called it harassment. I said, Brenda, I'm trying to pay you. She told me to contest it or follow the rules, then slammed the door, security system beeping. I stood there on her live, laugh, love, Matt holding my check, feeling stupid. I said, fine, I'll mail it. But I didn't. I got busy, forgot. The next week, another letter came. Now $150. I call the HOA line. Straight to voicemail. Hi, Jack Miller here. Try to pay. Not paying a late fee. No callback. Next week, $350. Then $800. Finally, I mailed the cashier's check for the original $50. Got it back. Refused. Now the balance was $800, full amount or nothing. Which led to this morning, the foreclosure threat, the nail in my door. Over a damn recycling bin. I sat at my kitchen table, staring at the notice. Coffee tasted like regret. My phone buzzed. A text from Dave, my buddy from college, a lawyer, not property law, but good in a fight. I told him, HOA just served me foreclosure papers. 2 seconds later, he's calling. I explained the whole saga. Dave listens, says HOAs have super lien priority in this state. If they file it right, they can foreclose, even if your mortgage is current. It's insane, but it's legal. I said, so I'm losing my house over a bin? Not if we fight. But you need ammo. Go dig through their paperwork. Find the original charter, master deed, anything filed with the county. Look for screw-up. These people always miss something. That Monday, I took off work, drove to the county clerk. Place smelled like mop water and despair. Clerk, Steve, sent me to the basement, microfiche, 1985. I spent 2 hours squinting, and then there it was, the charter. And on page 22, Article 9, Section C, Preservation of Agrarian Character. The HOA was legally required to maintain a 1-acre victory garden on the northeast corner. If not, the board was in breach and could be dissolved by a simple majority of any meeting. No 75% threshold. The garden, now a paved parking lot for the board, Brenda's Mercedes home. I had my weapon. All I needed was proof the land was dead. Called Big Tony's Earth Movers. Tony, massive guy, voice like a dump truck, agreed to meet at 7 a.m. next day, parking lot. He brought a bobcat with a jackhammer. At 7 a.m. sharp, the breaker slammed into the asphalt, sending up clouds of dust. Brenda came screaming in her robe, hair in curlers, fury dialed up to 11. She threatened to call the police. Tony just kept drilling. By the time the cops showed, I had my binder, my permit, the charter, the permit I printed off the city website. Officer Miller, the beat cop, looked at the mess, looked at Brenda, looked at me. Sir, is this a permit? Yes, sir. Brenda screamed. He's destroying my property. Common property, I corrected. Miller shrugged. Civil dispute. Take it to court. Brenda's power started to slip. I took a bag of dirt as evidence, rallied the neighborhood. Flyers everywhere. Emergency meeting. Tonight, return of the Victory Garden, lowering dues. The buzz was electric. Everyone had a horror story. Brenda had fined Mrs. Gable for feeding squirrels. She'd threatened Mr. Patel for parking in his own driveway too long. Everyone hated Brenda, even the rule followers. That night, the community center was packed. Brenda banged her gavel, tried to railroad the meeting into an emergency assessment. $500 per household to fix the lot I'd vandalized. Her lawyer stood up, smug. I stood and called point of order. Cited the breach in the charter. held up my binder, The Dirt. Explained, simply, that if the board failed to maintain the garden, the board could be dissolved by the people in the room. Murmurs, then shouts. Someone yelled, "No more HOA?" I confirmed, "No more fines. No more Brenda measuring your grass." The lawyer panicked, papers everywhere. Brenda was red with rage. I called the vote. Hands went up, almost unanimous. The board was in breach. Brenda screamed. Her lawyer, seeing the inevitable, quietly packed up and left. I motioned to dissolve the HOA, transfer assets to the city as parkland. Another roar, overwhelming approval. Brenda stared, jaw dropped. "You ruined everything," she hissed. I just said, "It's our choice now, not yours." The crowd surged forward, handshakes, hugs, relief rolling through the room like a wave. Aftermath, papers filed, HOA dead, lien on my house vanished. You can't owe money to a ghost. The lot was scheduled to become a city park, Victory Garden and all. The neighborhood, for the first time, felt like a neighborhood. Kids left bikes out, shutters got painted wild colors, and no one cared. Brenda hid behind her curtains. One morning, Big Tony was back. City hired him to finish ripping up the last of the asphalt. He waved, called out, "Tomatoes coming in yet?" I just smiled. My phone buzzed, a job offer, big money, new state, new life. Maybe I'd take it, maybe not. For now, I had a recycling bin to put out, and this time if it sat there for a week, nobody was going to say a damn thing. You know, I never expected a war with my HOA to teach me something about power. How sometimes it's just an illusion, and all it takes is for enough tired people to stand up at the same time and say enough. Sometimes the system isn't just unfair. It's waiting for you to poke a hole in its armor. Turns out, justice can look a lot like a pile of broken asphalt and a crowd of your neighbors finally remembering how to smile at each other. So let me ask you, where do you draw the line? When does fighting back become not just your right, but your duty? Ever tangled with an HOA or a rule you thought was unfair? Drop your story below, or tell me, what would you have done if your whole life was nailed to your front door at 6 in the morning? Let's hear it.